Good morning, Abiant.
And also the media aide Southeast to Dr. Orji Kalu, Honorable Madukukuru. Good morning.
Good morning, the folks.
All right. Doctor, I think we'll just have to start with you. You are in the campaign trail of former Governor Orji Kalu. How has it been?
People have been very receptive. A lot of people want to see him, and he's been talking to them, trying to tell them what has to happen if, he goes to the Senate. And we are very privileged, particularly myself. I was very privileged to be in that campaign team, and we'll continue to sustain the tempo. The Abia North people want change, and they are looking forward to that change to happen.
All right, we understand that the traditional rulers from Isukwata precisely just gave an endorsement on former Governor Orji Kalu. How did you receive that?
It was heartwarming to see the traditional rulers endorse the former governor, and told him that things has been very difficult, that their salary, the stipend that they get is very small, and it is the same stipend that they started receiving in 1999 when most of those communities were created, and they were just dumbfounded that as the salary issue is being discussed, theirs are not even on the table. And it was something that the senator, incoming senator, Dr. Orji Kalu, promised them that he will make sure that it will be part of the program that will be churning out.
All right, Honorable Maduka, we've been on this particular issue. The last time there was a violence attack on your principal, Dr. Orji Kalu, and that was last week. Somebody was shot, and because of that campaign, how did it happen? What exactly happened?
Well, I think I was not on the campaign trail that day. I think Dr. Madukukuru might be in a better footing to explain actually what happened. Doc, I think you
know, when there is an investigation being conducted by the police department anywhere in the world, particularly myself being a criminologist, it will be foolhardy for me to start commenting on investigation. I might jeopardize the police investigation, so I will reserve my comment until the full investigation as being conducted by the police department comes out. I wouldn't make that mistake of joining the issues of people who are making comments about it. I cannot.
Okay, but the victim is right now, I think, in FMC or somewhere. As the incoming senator, like you put it, has he gone to visit the...
Yes, of course, and my sympathy goes to the victim who was shot, and whatever the case is, the politics shouldn't imbibe violence, as I have always preached each time I have the opportunity to speak to Abians. But like I said, my sympathy goes to the victim, and my sympathy goes to anybody who, to the families who were affected. But apart from that, I cannot go further to comment on police investigation because as a criminologist by training, I know what it means to go beyond the comment already tabled.
All right, sir. You are, like you told me downstairs, first of all, you are an Iberian man.
That is correct.
And you are an Abia North person.
That is correct.
Probably.
Let me break it down for him again.
Let me break it down so that those who are listening will know.
Okay.
First of all, I am from Amofufo Ibere, and then second from Bende, a Bende man. Then third from Abia North, Abia man, a Southeasterner, and a Nigerian. That is the way you should be able to describe it. And by the way, my name is Madukwe Ejeke Ekekwe Ukebu, because you may hear some people saying they are Madukwe Ukebu. It is not mine if it is not Ejeke Ekekwe Ukebu attached to it. It's very important.
That is
it's very, very important.
Okay.
Because you know there are too many fake people around. So that is why I like to make sure that the name, emphasis laid, Madukwe Ekekwe, Ejeke, Ekekwe, Ukebu. Very important.
It's okay, sir.
Excellent.
Good, sir. Now let's come back to Abia State. What's your general assessment of the present government, especially as it regards to workers' welfare and infrastructure projects?
It is not actually for me to assess the government. It is for the people of Abia State to assess their government. Because I can individually assess it, it doesn't make any meaning except my personal opinion.
Yes.
But it is the opinion of the people of Abia State that matters. If Abia State people believe that the present government is doing well, let them vote them back. If they believe that they are not doing well, let them vote them out. That is how democracy is supposed to work. Democracy is about one man, one vote, or one woman, one vote. If I start complaining, if I start shouting from now until the hell freezes, it does not make sense. Abians are knowledgeable enough to know whether it is possible for them to be like other states of the Federation. If you go to Imo, you see what is happening. If you go to Ebonyi, you see what is happening. If Abians continue to be in the doldrums, continue to be sleeping, and things are the way they are, then my opinion does not matter. But what I can do, because I have been able to hold a post before as Deputy Chief of Staff and also a special advisor and somebody who was a member of what quote-unquote called kitchen cabinet, what I can only say is for Abians to open their eyes and say, is this the kind of government that we want to continue to have? If it is up to them to make that decision. My vote is personal and I know who to vote for. The question is the populace, are Abians ready to make the move so that their state can look like Ebonyi, their state can look like Imo, their state can look like Anambra, their state can look like Lagos, and all these places that development is going on. I was here about 2 months ago, and I complained bitterly as an Abaman that when I was young in the early 70s, I used to ride my chopper from my father's house to visit my godfather then, may he so rest in peace, Chief Nana Kalu. And everybody knows where Chief Nana Kalu's house is, in Ekenna. And for you to do that, you have to ride your bicycle. As a young man, we call it chopper, through Brass. Brass was closed. I came here and complained bitterly because I am a concerned Abian that whoever closed that Brass should go and open it, even if there is no more money in Abia State, that Abia State is so poor, impoverished, that particular road cannot be done. If that person goes to Ariaria and tell each and every one of us to bring one headpan, as we call it, concrete, and say, let us repair Brass, that Brass will be repaired. But lo and behold, let me congratulate whoever made that decision to open that road Brass, because after I complained, they started something on it. That is the responsibility of all Abians, to complain that something is wrong. And if they do, government should be able to respond. I want to congratulate whoever made it possible for that road to be opened again, so that it is a thoroughfare that is very, very important. Because from that road, people go to Akwa Ibom, people go to Calabar, people go to Enugu, people go to all kinds of states coming out of Ariaria, which you know is the hub of industrialization in Abia State. So when you sit in your house and say it's not my business, I don't care what government does, you are the one that elected these people. They did not elect you to sit in the house. You elected them to be able to give you services, the dividends of democracy. Okay. And that is what it is all about, my brother.
Yeah, just like you rightly pointed out, that because you complained about that Brass road,
that is correct.
That is why probably the government stepped in. You are a stakeholder, considering the fact that you've held a position in the past.
That is correct.
And as a politician, you can shout, and probably the governor or the government will listen to you. Do you think if ordinary people shout, that the government will listen as well?
Of course. When a lady from Akwa Ibom, in 1929, if I am correct, started a riot, started complaining that the taxes that were being charged for on women who were traders in Aba, when she challenged the government, she was nobody. Her name is Margaret Ekpo. For those who do not know history, the lady rose up and said, we cannot afford to pay the taxes that are being levied on us by the British government. It wasn't even African government. It was the British, white people, the so-called white people. This is what happened. The lady rose up as an individual saying this is not right. And when she said it was not right, do you know what happened? The government changed their mind. So let me tell you, and I am challenging every woman, every man, every child, every adult in Abia State to be able to say, government must take their responsibilities serious. It does not matter who is in government. If I am in government, I should take my responsibilities serious. We cannot be complacent. Enough of this. And when once you complain and say this is what's supposed to, can you deposit your money in the bank and expect that the bank will not take care of that money? Our vote is a deposit. Our vote is a deposit on a human being to be able to change our lives. Government should come to us, not us going to government. That is why it's called dividends of democracy. And when once we cannot be able to do that, then there is absolutely no reason for the person to be in governance. And that is the truth and nothing but the truth. You know, I am not interested who is the governor. I am not interested who is the secretary to government. I am not interested who is the commissioner. What I am interested is to be able as a bona fide citizen of this country and as an Abian to be able to ride my car smoothly on a smooth road, because that is what I expect. I expect water to be running in my house so that when I pay taxes, I say, yes, this is where my taxes are going to. I expect to have light. These are common things that I deserve to have. And when once I cannot have them, then the government has failed me. The deposit which I made, which is my vote, is not yielding the dividends. And that is what it is all about, my brother.
Okay, sir. Still on this issue of development in the state. I'm sure, like you pointed out, the issue of the brass. Today, they are working on it. Which other areas do you think the government should step in?
The government has a lot to do. And I'm not asking or tasking government to do everything at one time. Let them do it pace by pace. But let us see something happening. For example, I was here again 2 months ago. I complained about Niger Street behind the police, where the police have their
CPS, Central Police Station,
where the police have their, what do you call it, have their stores. I was there. I always pass through there when I'm going back and forth, whenever I'm around. That's, what do you call it, gallop or pothole, as we say in US. That pothole has been there for so many months, about 2, 3, 4 years. At the end of the day, when I complain, they have patched it up. That's what's supposed to be happening. There is absolutely no reason for me as a private citizen to be reminding government of their responsibilities. Government should be able to take care of their responsibilities without anybody, because there is a blueprint that government should follow. I shouldn't be reminding them of the blueprint. Otherwise, there is absolutely no reason for those who claim to be in government if they cannot every day say, this is what we ought to do for Abians. This is what we ought to do for these people. That is why when Governor Kalu 12 years ago was in government, we always go to him and say, sir, this is what we have seen. We drove around, this is what we saw. And he will, if it is something that concerns a commissioner for works, he will tell the commissioner for works, 24 hours, go and handle this matter. If it is something that concerns the commissioner for health, the same thing. If it is any department that is concerned, will be notified to go and take care of it, because government cannot be everywhere at all times. But people can be able to say to government, this is what we have seen, which you have not seen. Go and handle it. And they should be able to handle it. But when government just stays and don't do anything, that is where we have a problem. And that is why His Excellency, who should not have come to do what he's doing, came back to say, I need to help my people of Abia North. He is not in government. He's been able to repair from where the military checkpoint is in Umuahia all the way to Ohafia. He's been able to patch it up. He has done a road from Uzor to Zuitem. You know how that road was. He's doing one now in Ugweke. He's doing another one in Ozuitem through his contacts with NDDC. And Mr. President has given him that mandate because he complained. Like I said, he reminded the government that this is what's supposed to be done. Like the road from Ohafia to Aruchuku. He went to the Mr. President and said, the last time that road was touched upon was when Ikoku was I think in PTF or something like that. That was the last time. And he begged and said, please, Mr. President, for whatever it is worth, Aruchuku is very important to Abians because it's a border town. Should there be anything in Aruchuku, even the military or the police will not be able to reach there on time.
You mean Ohafia Aruchuku?
Ohafia Aruchuku Road. That's what I'm talking about. So now it is under construction. So anybody coming here to claim that it was him or her that attracted it is just wasting his or her time. You know, record does not lie. People can play politics. I'm not your typical politician. I will tell you what I believe and what I feel in your face. If you don't like it, there are so many transformers around. You can go and do a hugging on it. No, that is what it is.
Okay. All right, the program is still Orji Kalu Speaks on Flow 94.9 FM, Umuahia. Now, let me come to you, Honorable Maduka. I'm sure you've been following the governorship debate that, I think there was one that was held just 2 days ago. The governor railed out his achievements, and all that, including the road projects in Aba and all that. Do you agree to the fact that the governor has done well?
I don't subscribe to that because the evidence is quite clear. When we talk about achievements, we have to list concrete achievement that you have done. He talked about a flyover. It's not completed yet. Dr. Maduku Kebu has succinctly put it that those things that he was supposed to do, he has not done them. So if he hadn't raised his voice about Brass and Brass Street, I don't think anything would have been done because that place, the KK people formed it as a KK trade union. They were using it like a park. Now, he talked about agriculture. I heard him talk about and distribution of tenera. It is not true. It never happened. Local governments, the facts are there that the government, Abia State government, current Abia State government distributed only 40,000 to each local government. And not the millions he's talking about. Where are the millions of tenera that were distributed? He's talking about, it's not about election, it's about generation. Which generation? You cannot tell us what you don't have. You cannot give us what you don't have. He didn't achieve anything, and he was very, very jittery because that is why you don't have good advisors. If you listen to what Dr. Maduku Kebu said, he talked about governance and you being a leader, taking hold of things, but you cannot be everywhere at all time. That's why you have your commissioners, that's why you have your special advisors, that's why you have your special assistant. But most of them don't even know diddly. They can even turn in memos. They are just sitting there babbling, praising the governor every minute of the day. But I'm telling you that what they did about Tenera that I know, shut up, that they went and took money from the local government. They gave charges to each local government and collected the money.
Do you also believe that there's about 60 roads already completed?
60 roads? Yeah. Where in Aba? Is it Ohanku that I know? Is it Obuaya? Where in Aba? They talked about Ibadan Street. Most of the aides to Governor Ipazo had not been to Aba. They weren't born in Aba. Aba is a large area. Talking about Ukumango. Ukumango was done by the previous administration. That money was gone through the drain. It went through water. He just carrying dollars and putting it into the ocean. That is what happened. And they are doing Fox Road again. Fox Road has been done before. What happened? They must give us account of what they did. The new government that will come in, they must give account. So whatever they are doing now, even selling out of vehicles and selling government properties today, evidence are there. They are jittery. But whether they're going to go, they ain't going to go. What we're saying that when the new administration come, you got to give account of your stewardship.
Though your governorship candidate, Samson Uchoga, was obviously absent in that particular that debate, but other candidates that were there,
yes,
they agreed to the fact that the governor actually did some routes in Aba, but just a kilometer or so. So there's this agreement that the governor is actually doing something.
Now you remember what one of the candidates said. He said, it's not about doing roads. Tell Abians the kilometerage of the roads. You cannot do from Flow FM to Hofas, and you say you have done the factory road. You can do that. You can't deceive us. And that is why we keep saying that we are not kids. We know the facts, and the governor himself knows the facts. Problem that the governor has is that he has a bad advisors. All he has is sycophants, people pressing it. They're not telling him the truth. And what I want to also tell you there, that sometimes I give a lot of kudos to the Commissioner of Information. The man sometimes gets objective. You know, he don't say much, but he will reel out because he's doing his job. But he's not doing a real job because he can't tell us that you have done 60 roads when we don't have 60 roads done. If you want to talk about roads in Obingwa, talk about roads in Isi Alangwa. But when you talk about Aba, Enyimba City, that I know, that I grew up in, where?
No, but even in Omar here, the governor is also doing a road. Aba Road here, he's still on.
He's still doing. He's still, listen to yourself. He's still doing. This is what should have been done long time ago. Should have been finished. Good. I know you quoting him. Okay. No, what I'm saying is that he cannot give what he doesn't have. He doesn't have the money. He cannot finish that road. And I want to quote him. He said, all the projects that I will embark on, if I don't finish the projects, I will not come back for a second time. That is him. He said it. So
I think where he made that the statement was on the issue of the Osisioma flyover.
No, he said projects. Okay. Now, okay, assuming, let me give and take. Assuming he said if he doesn't finish the Osisioma flyover, he won't ask for re-election. I think he has hit the hammer on his foot. He cannot finish it. And he talked about Ebonyi. When the comparison was made between Abia State and Ebonyi State, he said that Ebonyi flyover, I think it was 6-inch. He's doing his own 9-inch. Why giving us 9-inch when you can give us 6-inch? And you save 3-inch, and then we'll take the money and pay salaries. And now you are doing 9-inch, you can't finish 9-inch. There is no way in this world that the governor of Abia State will finish that Osisioma flyover before 16th of February, or even before 21st of March. It cannot happen. It can never happen. The man knows he's gone. He got to pack his things. He got to go. He got to go. Enough is enough for Ndabia. Ndabi kabulawa. Wasela ebaliala. Half for what I told you about Chito. And that is why APC is taking this governance to the next level.
But your governorship candidate was obviously absent. Why?
He was not. He said it. He said it. Matter Day.
He would have been there, not on Matter Day.
But Matter Day, he said he was. Yes, the Matter Day, he said he was traveling. He had emergency going to Abuja. So everybody knew that. But you know the package that he gave to Ndabia at Matter Day was superb. He had his blueprint all carved out. That man never made mistake. We're talking about APC under the leadership of Dr. Uche Samson Oga will be investment-driven administration, bringing investors into Abia. Investors that will trust you. How many investors have come to Abia? And listen to what again, that mistake that was made by the governor of Abia State. He said that he's training teachers in Australia. Taking our teachers here, training them. He said about 4,000 teachers. Training them in Australia. Can you imagine that? That means we don't even know what we're doing here. So a white man is going to tell me how I'm going to train up my kids. So we can't tell people to Ghana.
Maybe they have it.
Maybe what? They ain't got nothing. Remember the thing they did about Ariada Market, and they're talking about the shoes. What about the shoes? Now he went and took some people, mostly from his area, to China, and they have come back. What have you seen? And you tell me we are shipping uniforms, we are shipping boots to military people and all that. We want to see them. We want to see factory being set up here in Aba. You want to see those tangible things. You don't need to take area people to China. And the commissioner said, I'm quoting him, he said that they were giving stipends. They stayed in hotels, they had fun, even some of them went to dance Ajasco. Is that not what we want? What we want is bring the factories here, bring the investors here. In America, Dr. Kebu will tell you, Americans bring people to America because when you invest in America, you cannot take the infrastructure back to Japan or back to China or back to Singapore. That's what you need to do. Bring them, let them invest here, give them conducive environment, and then employment and jobs will be created. So what he's saying, he knows he messed up at the debate. He ain't got his facts right, but we say enough is enough. APC government under the leadership of Dr. Uche Samson Oga, we are going to the next level.
Of course, the Abia people will decide on that.
Of course, they're already tired.
All right, this is Uzor Kalu speaks on Flow 94.9 FM on Wire. We'll go on a very short break. We'll be right back shortly. Stay with us.
Dr. Orji Uzor Kalu speaks. A program
Story with my big book of sausages. This amazing process starts when the big pot of dough is raised and poured into a big square pan known as the hopper. Then the dough is made into a smooth and soft pastry. The pastry is cut into small sizes and filled with the yummy, delicious, spicy beef.
Wow.
Yeah. Those sausages are folded and marched like soldiers through a big hot oven, coming out baked hot and ready for you to eat. The sausages then march along hand in hand and they proceed to be wrapped one after the other. A big robot with lots of fingers then lines them up into cartons. They're ready to go to the market and just ready for me to buy them for you.
That's amazing, Mom.
Uzor Kalu speaks on Flow 94.9 FM. Just to remind our listener that you can log on to Flow FM on YouTube to see what is happening right here inside the studio. Now, welcome back, Dr. Maduka.
Thank you.
All right. Now, let's talk about, we are still talking about the debate that was held here in the States, governorship debate.
Yes.
And the governor talked about the issue of Charter of Equity, where, the Abia North, they've gone like 8 years. Abia Central, they've gone like 8 years. But Abia South, they're just finishing their first 4 years. And he's saying in the spirit of fairness and equity, they should be given another 4 years. What do you make of that?
The statement in itself is not correct. The Constitution of Nigeria is very clear. A governor and his deputy shall serve 4 years term. That's what the Constitution said. If there is any equity in Abia State, which is good, that means for 4 years is actually the entitlement of each zone. If you do well, because that's where the matter is, if you do well, if your performance is a great performance, then the people can give you a second mandate, which means the Constitution should be fulfilled and equity also fulfilled. So if you look at the equity issue, which is your question, Abia North has done their own. Abia Central has done their own, and Abia South has also done their own. So equity is complete. each time the Abia North did 4 years, and the Abians felt that the governor from Abia North did very well. They gave him a bonus of 4 years. The same thing happened in Central. In the South, it should not be an exception. The issue is no more about equity. The issue is, have I done well?
Performance.
If you have performed well, there is absolutely no reason to remind us Abians that the equity should apply, because what is equity? Isn't that correct?
Exactly.
Whatever you did for the goose, you also do it for the gander. Isn't that correct?
Exactly.
So whatever Abians has really, in fairness, it's not something that should be debatable. It's a common sense understanding that for 4 years is what is required of each governor, including anyone. When you are elected, the Constitution said you shall serve a term of 4 years. But if you do well, you are allowed 8 years. After 8 years, you find your way. So equity has been satisfied in Abia by allowing the man from the Abia North senatorial zone to take a shot, allowing the Central to take a shot, and allowing the South to take a shot. The question now is, if Abians want to give you bonus on performance, then they can be able to do so. So to me, the issue of equity does not arise because it has been satisfied.
Okay, sir. I just have this particular question. When the governor was asked about the issue of salary payment in the state,
yes,
he said all the MDAs in the states, they are up to date in terms of salary. But those of them in parastatals, that the head of those parastatals, they are supposed to take care of the salary payment of their workers, that it shouldn't be, the primary function of the state government. What do you think about that?
I don't understand that. I was Deputy Chief of Staff in the office of the Deputy Governor from 2003 to 2009. And I became a special advisor to the governor also on projects. So I should know. Are parastatals in business outside of government? Government is one. Abia State Government. That's why you see ABSG. Abia State Government. Everybody is under Abia State Government. Unless they are saying that the parastatals are traders, that they go and do their own business, run their own government, which means there is something wrong. I don't believe in that. And let us be honest with what we do. Once you start bringing dishonesty into governance or trying to deceive people, you can't deceive people like me. I don't know what the comments are, but I can assure you that everyone is in the same government. Whatever happens in ESCO chambers is a decision that is made on governance. Everybody is involved. That's why you have different commissioners coming to ESCO chambers to make a decision. And if things are still wrong, right, I was an observer as Deputy Chief of Staff in ESCO chambers. If things are still right, the commissioners bring in their budgets. They say this is what we need in our parastatals, because some ministries have parastatals. So the parastatals don't pay themselves. But there are some parastatals, for instance, BCA, just like this radio station, supposed to raise money. But is government saying that BCA should now run their own course out of the system? It is not true. Let us be honest with ourselves. Politics aside, because I don't want somebody, a young man who is out there in the university, who has the zeal to become a governor, who has the zeal to work in government, to say, so some government agencies are different from other government agencies. That is not true. Rather, what usually happens is that whatever money that is generated is paid into a central coffer of government, and it is from there that distribution is made. Corruption is because of this type of situation. So if the governor made that kind of comment, I think it's mostly unfortunate. It shouldn't be a comment being made by an executive. That is just the truth.
I think why the governor said that was because some parastatals like Abia State University, they are functioning very well. They pay their workers as at when due. But it's not the case with Abia State Polytechnic, the one we have in Abia.
No, but when you talk about universities, that's a whole new ball game. The university does not have any commissioner in the ESCO. The only commissioner that supervises the university is the commissioner for health. Sorry, commissioner for education. That's the one that actually supervises looks into what the university is doing. The governor is a visitor to the university. There is a stipend that is given to the university, and then from the school fees and other things that come into the university, they are supervised. They are just not on their own. That's why they bring budget. I want us to be very honest with what we do and what we say to the public. If Polytechnic is a private institution, not under their state government, then we can talk about that. For instance, Gregory University in Uturu is a private institution. It is not under their state government. So Gregory University can do whatever they want to do. University, what is it called? Covenant University. Those are private universities. They are not under their states. But when you are under a state, there is a budget stipulated to be able to take care of that state. I'm using the word stipend. And then whatever else you generate is deposited into the purse of government. That is why there is an auditor general. There is an auditor general in Abia State. There is a budget office in Abia State. And I'm not saying this thing as somebody who was an outsider. I have been in there. Yes, I am no longer in government, but I should be able to educate and tell people actually how government functions. Somebody should not be saying that Polytechnic or university ought to raise their money and distribute it by themselves. That is corruption. And I don't think Abia State people should be part of it.
Okay, so as it stands today, Doc, what do you think should be the way forward to addressing this particular issue?
The way forward to address this is to bring in there is a Senate. There are those who are in charge of the universities. There are those who are in charge of
because it's not really a peculiar problem with the academic, those Abia State University and Polytechnic. We have also what's it called? ABSUT. Yes.
That is what I'm saying. All this, for instance, the teaching hospital. When they see patients, they collect fees from the patients and deposit it into the coffers of government. Government should be able to give them the stipend to support them if that is not enough. There is a management process. I am an administrator. I was in deputy governor's office and my record is there. My record is there. After that, I handed over to somebody who was there to see what we did. So if there is anything amiss, they should be able to show it. I am not talking out of ignorance. I am telling you that these are things. As a matter of fact, there was a time that the deputy governor's office was supervising Ministry of Health, Ministry of Agriculture, Ministry of Environment, and I think one other, and petroleum. So we have been there. We have done that. It is not something that, there are people who don't have the prerequisite, or they don't have the understanding of how government works. You can't go to the market and say, I want to buy nobility. They will be laughing at you. Or I want to buy administration. I don't know how to be an administrator. Let me, I want to purchase being an administrator. It doesn't work that way. It is a tutelage. You have to go through the process so that when you come to bear with administration, you'll be able to say, This is what I'm supposed to do. This is what I'm supposed to do. That is why Americans groom their leadership. They don't just throw them out. For instance, before Governor Kalu came to be the governor of Abia State, at the age of 27, he was the chairman board of directors of Cooperative and Commerce Bank. At that young age, he started his tutelage. He started learning the ropes. He did not just fly by night and just came into government to be wasting time, to be telling you stories that parastatals are different from this, that university should take care of. If the university, if you have said, okay, there is a formulation that you have done that the university should now be private, then you say so. But when once the university is still under the auspices of the Abia State government, ABSG is responsible for the universities and all other parastatals for their salaries, and as a matter of fact, whatever is due to them. Do not run away from your responsibility if you are ABSG.
Are you saying that the governor should sack the heads of those parastatals who are not doing well?
If they are not doing well, you remove them. Is that their mother's kitchen? It is not their mother's kitchen. If I am, when I was in, as a matter of fact, I am telling you that I left. I resigned when I saw that things were not the way they were. I said, no, I can't continue to be here. And my resignation letter is still with me. Alozie Ndulaka, who happens to be one of your managers here, he knew when I resigned. And I handed over. I said, I can't continue because what I'm saying is not, I can't continue. So what I'm saying to you is that if the governor believes that those who are running these parastatals are not competent, he should remove them. Is that their mother's kitchen or their father's house? It's a transient thing. Just like we are all transient in this world. I will not be here forever. But what will you be remembered for? What will people remember you for? We keep saying Awolowo, we keep saying Zik, we keep saying Ojukwu. It is their goodwill that we are remembering. But they are gone. Ojukwu said, Martin Luther King said, do something so that people will remember you. Don't be sitting on the fence. I don't sit on the fence. Dr. Madukwe Ejeke Ekekwe Ukebu does not sit on the fence. I tell it to you in your face. Like I said, if you don't like it, of course, a lot of transformers are on the corner. You can go and check it out. Right. But with that being said, let me conclude by telling you that if those who are leaders are not competent enough to be in the position that they are, the governor has the prerequisite right. The governor has the absolute right in capital letters to tell them your services are no longer required. Even if those people are governor's brothers and sisters, when they go home they can discuss. But public administration is a very serious business. We need to change the narrative. We cannot continue in the doldrums and things are going the way they are. People are crying. Every morning I wake up, people keep calling. Doc, things are bad. Can you find me 5,000? Can you find me 2,000? We can't continue that way.
All right.
We need to start moving forward and turning the fortunes of this state.
Okay, it's still Dr. Orji Kalu speaks on Flow 94.9 FM. We'll be going straight to the phone lines, and the numbers to call are 08081826949 or 08116052949. And the SMS line is 09065108289. Hello?
Morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning.
Morning, Maduko Kurale. Doctor in the house. Who's a man that I call from Mali? Doctor, former Deputy Chief of Staff, I thank you so much. I appreciate the way you directed the case of Abia State. And it's Abia that has every right to vote in. If the governor or the present government is doing well, we have every right to vote them in. If they're not doing well, we have every right to go against their wish. So I thank you for how you directed it. But to me, the problem of the state is not from the state, it's from the head, APC head, in the president as the people that he put there to salvage the administration are not doing well. The problem, the hunger that is in the land comes from the APC, from the head. So we all did it right. It's not the governors are the problem. For instance, go to APC state, go to, we talk about pension, go to Imo State and ask how good they are owing their pensioners. In Imo State that APC is the governor. You go to Orji state. These are the states that APC managed. Uzor said that they left. As they look at how they are owing them. So the problem comes from the head.
Okay, round up.
Let me.
Right.
There's something I want to say about him. No, I know the guy.
Don't worry.
Okay.
Let me. I mean, the issue you raised. What did the guy say was his name?
Who say man no day?
Okay, who say man no day? Of course, man day. The issue he raised is a very important issue, but he turned it upside down. The federal government does not discriminate. The federal government gives the same amount of money to all the states. And I want Abians to listen very carefully, because he said it's an APC-led federal government. You don't go to FAC to collect money and they say, because you're from Abia, we are going to give you 1 naira and we give the other state lesser, or we give you bigger or lesser. It is the same amount. For instance, the bailout. When the bailout money was being distributed, Abia got more than most of the states. Are you getting it?
Yes.
It is how you utilize your funds. What did you do with the money? Because that is the question. And because I am not privileged and I don't have the preview of what the accountants and the auditors and those who are doing the budget are doing. So I cannot be able to comment as an insider. But what I can say as an outsider is that the APC-led government under President Muhammadu Buhari came to the rescue of those states after President Jonathan left office.
All right, let's take another.
And he was able to give money to all the states. It is in the distribution and handling of that money that is the issue.
All right, hello, good morning.
Yeah, good morning.
What's your name and where are you calling from?
I'm from LG.
All right, go ahead.
Oh, good morning, sir.
Good morning.
Please, I don't be offended. I want to ask you some personal questions as regards to Orji Kalu when he was the governor of Abia State for 8 good years. Sir, please, can you be able to tell Abians how many industries was Orji Kalu able to establish while he was the governor of Abia State, and how many industries were moribund under his watch? Now, I want you to throw a little light about holding unit videos in Abia State. I only want you to throw a little light.
Thank you. Let him respond.
That's a very good question. The government has no business in building industries and being in business. That means you don't know anything about governance.
Simple.
What the government does is to bring in all the enabling things which you call enabling environment. They make sure that the environment is fertile for investors to come in and invest. Government, and I repeat, government has no business in establishing industries. Industries are established by private sector. Please, my brother from Bende, get it right. So from Porenyi, so that you can be able to tell your people that government has no business in running industries. What government has business in doing is to make sure that their laws and their business rules are fertile for investors to come in and invest. Thank you very much.
All right, let me hear from
I want to say something concerning the previous individual that called.
Okay.
What is his name again? We say man no day. This individual, I want you to understand that we know you. We know you work for Asopadec. You have never questioned the money that goes into Asopadec. And another thing that irks me where you are is that you're not an Abian. And you are working in Abia. And you are taking our money that we're supposed to give our youth who say man no day. But man day. But what we're trying to tell you is that go and worry about Asopadec and what they are doing with our money, buying vehicles for Ndeze. in their own local governments when they're not supposed to do. They are supposed to build infrastructure, and they're not helping Ikpazu. Asupadek is not helping Ikpazu, and you're working there and collecting salary, and you cannot counter what Asupadek is doing, and you are busy every day talking about Orji Uzor Kalu and talking about APC. That's what you have been doing. But my brother, I need you to face your work at Asupadek and do the right thing. Stop calling on air and wasting the taxpayers' money calling on air, please.
All right, Doc, do you have any final shots as we want?
Absolutely. What I want Abians to please, as you are in your private setting, you have to think. If what you have seen and what you have witnessed in Abia is the right thing for the past 4 years, and you want to continue in the same way, your conscience should be able to prick you to do the right thing. But for me, my candidate is in Abia North Senatorial Zone is the former governor of the state, Governor Orji Uzor Kalu. I am going to make sure that we do everything in our power to bring in a senator who will stand tall amongst all senators without looking at anybody's face, to bring in, as they say in the United States, the bacon home, to bring the meat home. That is the man I'm going to support in Abia North.
Okay.
And on the governorship, I am going to support Uchechukwu Samson Oga for governor.
All right. Thank you so much.
And so on, and all, and I say all the APC candidates in Abia North.
Okay.
That is the people that I'm vying for.
Oh.
And by the way, there is another young man in Aba who is up and coming, a very bright fellow who was a former chief of staff, and his name is Mascot Uzor Kalu. He is going to represent Aba North and Aba South in the federal conference.
All right, we've come to
those are our first 11 lineup.
All right, thank you so much. We've come to the end of the show. Let me sincerely thank the former Deputy Chief of Staff in Abia State, Dr. Madukwe E.E. Ukebu.
That is correct.
I like that. And the media aide out is to former Governor Dr. Orji Uzor Kalu, Madukwe Okoro.
I want to use this opportunity to thank our able leader in the state and APC, Honorable Donatus Nwankpa. You are piloting very well, and I hope by the time we get into next month, when we're going to be delivering Uche Samson Oga, delivering Dr. Orji Uzor Kalu, and all other APC folks that are vying for various positions, Abia will be a better place. And then we take Abia to the next level.
All right. Thank you, listener, for being part of today's show. And thank you, the beautiful man, for pressing the right button. My name is Kalu. Let's do it again next week. Good morning.